So friends, here we are together. Just take a look if you wish on gallery and let the Sangha come in, knowing that in our Sangha here, we have, all of us in a different, probably a different place, a different state, a different place of tenderness in the heart. And knowing that we can hold everyone and every state just as we are. So glad that everyone's here just as we are. And letting our bodies and our hearts be soft, finding a posture that is supportive. Bringing our practice in right here in the way we support ourselves in our posture. Offering this support for our body also offers a support in a very conscious way for our hearts and for our minds. And so letting our bodies be supported, upright, yet relaxed, gives us this message, kind of begins this, offers this generosity to ourselves, offers this kindness to ourselves. May I meet what's here, may I be with what's here with alertness, yet relaxedness. And sensing into this support as a very tangible support that we offer ourselves. Offering the body ease and support. Inviting the mind and the heart into this ease and support. And as we settle into the sense of the body sitting, let's bring some intentional kindness, some intentional metta practice in as we begin. Just inviting whatever ease is available in the body to be here. Inviting the body to soften. Turning the attention kindly to the state of the body. How is the body now? Scanning the body gently. There may be areas of ease and relaxation. And there may be areas of discomfort. And offering ourselves a little wish, a gentle wish. May I find ease right here in the midst of this. May I be soft here in the midst of this. And sensing into the heart, sensing whatever's here in the heart, maybe a mix of things, maybe a sense of care and connection here in the Sangha. Maybe some sadness, some agitation. Inviting whatever ease is available to hold these. May I find softness right here in the midst of this heart. May I live with kindness right here with this heart. Sensing into the mind, however the mind is feeling right now. Perhaps the mind feels a little bit busy. Perhaps the mind feels a little bit less busy, a little bit spacious. Inviting ease with however the mind is right now. May I live with kindness right here in the midst of this. May there be gentleness right here in the midst of this. And settling into your wherever feels like an anchor for you is the most easeful anchor. The body or the breath. Or sounds. Or a part of the body, the feet, the hands. Wherever your most easeful anchor is. And when the mind moves to thoughts or emotions or memories or things that you need to do, it'll come back all by itself, and just take a moment as it comes back and just reassure it. May there be ease in the midst of this. And then return to the anchor. Rest there for a little while. It's returning here with ease. Making friends really with our experience as best we can, just as it is. We're almost at the end of our meditation time. And I'm going to ask you just to stay still for a few moments. I'm going to ask you to take a look in your own experience for some qualities. Perhaps you'll find one or maybe more of these qualities in your experience. Is there any place in your experience right now that feels in any small way content with what's here? Content with sitting here in the body and the breath? No, no, not looking for anything big, just a small sense. And if there is, and there may not be, if there is, what does that feel like? And just sensing inside for another quality. Is there any sense of any small sense of friendliness or softness in the body or towards your experience or towards the mind or the heart? Just a sense of kind of ease in the body in any way. And if there is any sense of friendliness, what does that feel like? And just sensing in to see if there's any part of your experience that feels calm. Perhaps a sense of calmness in the body or calmness at the end of the exhale. Perhaps the mind is a little bit calmer than when we began. And if there is, what does that feel like? And then sometimes there can also be, even with the calm, there can be a sense of alertness in the mind, the body. You see it if there's any sense anywhere in any corner of your experience of any kind of alertness or awakeness. And if so, what does that feel like? And then lastly, sensing over our meditation time to sense, is there anything that you've done tonight that you have a sense of, a small sense of confidence in? A small sense of confidence in what might happen as you turn to the body and the breath. A small sense of confidence, perhaps, in being able to invite ease. A small sense of confidence in meeting the mind when it comes back from thinking. with some kindness. Anything that you might have a small sense of confidence in. And what does that feel like? This capacity we have simply to sense into the qualities in the mind, in the heart, in the body is an important capacity in the teachings, and we'll talk more about them tonight. So if you wish to simply stay where you are and settle, that's great. And if you wish to take a look around the Sangha and enjoy the company, that's great. If you wish to take a moment to do that. These friends who likely have states of mind and heart just like you. These states of mind and heart that we can sense into a really universal heart and mind qualities. And so, friends, our theme this month are the difficult states of mind, challenging states of mind that we all encounter from time to time. Oh, about every minute or so, likely. And how to work with those. And this is an important part of the teachings. There is part of the teachings called the fourth foundation of mindfulness, which is really speaks to the processes of liberation in the mind and the heart. And there are two major lists in this teaching of the processes of liberation. And one of those are the difficult states of mind, and another one are the awakening factors in the mind. And as we learn how to work with the difficult states of mind, this clears the way naturally for the factors of awakening to come into the mind. And so it's really helpful and important to get to know the difficult states of mind and know how to work with them skillfully. And so I'm going to name 5 different ways, maybe 6, 6 general ways to work with difficult states of mind. And then offer some ways to work specifically with difficult states of mind. And the first way to work with difficult states of mind is to know when they're not here, when their opposites are here. So just in a show of hands, no one can see you now because you're in speaker view, I'm sure. But did anybody find in their experience any sense of contentment when we looked at the end of the great? It's wonderful. So did anybody sense any sense? What was the next one I asked for? Any friendliness? Any friendliness? Did anybody find any friendliness? Any softness? Beautiful, beautiful. Did anybody find any alertness? I know there might have been some sleepiness. Anybody find any alertness? Might have been surprising to find that. I got a couple of nods there. Did anybody find any calm anywhere? Yeah, okay, okay, great. That's wonderful. Did anybody find any sense of confidence in, oh yeah, there's something here I know how to do? Any sense of confidence in the body, the breath, anything? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think everybody had their hand up for at least one of these states. So knowing when the difficult states are not here is actually probably the biggest thing we can know. I don't want to say the biggest, one of the biggest. It's so big because our minds, as we know, are Velcro for the difficult. And so we have kind of a selective attention for the difficult. And so the other states are actually going on. Very often they're going on at the same time in some part of our experience, but our minds kind of like a satellite dish, over and hone in on the difficult. So beginning to train our minds and hearts to notice when they're not here, notice the opposites, really is a huge thing. So that's the first general way of working with difficult states. And I'm thinking, really, this is possible even in the midst of difficulty, even in the midst of challenge, in the midst of loss. There can be some parts of our experience in the midst of uncertainty, which I know some of us tonight have some of those states too. And these other states can also exist at the same time. And when we can see them also, they can nourish the system and help the system hold more easily the difficult ones. It's kind of like there's this image it's been in my mind ever since Anglin Lake of the birds, like as we flap our wings, the birds, flap their wings and start to soar, and then the air underneath the wings can, in a way, support them. So we don't have to do all the work. If we notice the wholesome states of mind that we did tonight, those can be like the wind underneath the wings and can support the mind and the heart in difficulty. Of course, that doesn't mean the difficulty will go away. So we'll need a variety of things to work with. So the first one is to know when they're not here. The second one, and then, is to name them when they are here. And in naming them, it's kind of like, taking some of when we name something, in a way, it becomes less vague and amorphous, and we can see it more clearly. And that can help kind of make it more manageable. So to name those states is helpful too. And so the 5 difficult states that the Buddha offered us as things we can look for in our experience. The first is discontent or grasping. Discontent. Do we want something different to be happening? And this can often come up in our meditation and in life. We might want a peaceful sit when the mind is agitated, and that can stir things up even more. We may want peace in the world and social justice when it's not happening. That doesn't mean we're not going to work for it, but to see it clearly. There's a difference, I guess, between grasping and wholesome desire. And that grasping is like, for things in the larger world, social justice, we can have a wholesome desire for that. And then this grasping, which is characterized by discontent and kind of a feeling of agitation in the system. I just want to also to say that doesn't mean that there's not strong emotion when we're in the world and working for social justice and social change. So naming, so discontent or grasping. The second naming is ill will. Often this shows up for me as self-judgment. And so naming that. In the world, I can find myself having ill will towards certain behaviors, certain decisions, certain public figures. Naming that is one way of starting at least to work with it, make it workable. If we work for social justice with ill will in the heart, we're going to cultivate ill will. All the great leaders of our time and in the past who've worked for social justice with peace in their heart are really the models for this practice. So the next one we want to name is sloth and torpor. So sloth in the body, torpor, sloth in the mind, name it. And the next one, restlessness and worry, to name these things, to know they're happening. Oh yeah, this is restlessness and worry. Then it's workable. If something is not in our awareness, if we're unaware, it's not workable. If we can name it and be aware of it, it's workable. And then the last is doubt. And so naming these, so that's the second way we can work with them. The third way we can work with them is to make them actually the path, to not see them as a distraction from the path, but as the path, and to transform our relationship to them. So to be with them with as much mindfulness as we can, as much allowing as we can, as much curiosity as we can. And I have a poem about that. This is one of my favorite poems from the elder nuns. Poems of the elder nuns. Because often if I've got a hindrance in the mind, I think I need to get rid of it in order to really meditate. I need to get rid of the restlessness in order to really meditate. And what Vijaya, whose name means victor, is going to speak about in this poem is if restlessness is in the mind, make that the practice. Make that our home. That's what's here. So she says, when everyone else was meditating, I'd be outside circling the hall. Finally, I went to confess. I'm hopeless, I said. The elder nun smiled. Just keep going, she said. Nothing stays in orbit forever. If this circling is all you have, why not make this circling your home? I did as she told me and went on circling the hall. If you find yourself partly in and partly out, if you find yourself drawn to this path and also drawing away, I can assure you, you're in good company. Just keep going. Sometimes the most direct path isn't a straight line. So whatever hindrance we have in the mind is, we can turn around, can we make it the path? And so here's a way to make it the path. Like it's one thing to say that, and it's another thing, how do you do that really? And so I have a favorite story of mine about making doubt the path. And I've told it before, but I want to tell it again because the telling of it is a teaching in itself. And so, and I'll unpack the teaching of it after I tell the story, but this is a story of making doubt, friends with doubt, making doubt the path. So I had this huge doubt attack. I think I've told this story, a huge doubt attack, but you can see what at Spirit Rock, doubt rose. Am I doing the practice right? This is hopeless. Forget it. I can't do it. And I thought, oh, I can't sit in the hall with this. I realized I can't. It was too painful. It was too agitating. So I went outside the hall. I just realized that after that poem, I took my doubt outside the hall. It was too big for the hall. I said, how big is this doubt? And Spirit Rock is in a big valley. And I said, this doubt is filling the whole valley. I thought, is that okay? Is that how? No, it's bigger than that. It's filling the whole sky. And so I thought, I'm going to take my doubt for a walk. And so I stomped down the hill, taking my doubt for a walk. And every time I passed a turkey, they have these big kind of wild tame turkeys at Spirit Rock. They're probably taking over now that no one's there on retreat. These herds of wild tame turkeys. Every time I'd pass a turkey, I'd say, "I'm taking my doubt for a walk. Thank you very much." And I stomp down the hill, and then I stomp back up the hill. And every time I got back to the top of the hill, I'd check, how big is a doubt now? And it stayed the same for quite some time. And then one time I got to the top of the hill, and that doubt started to recede, fade a little bit in the sky. And then it kept fading and fading and fading. And that night I was looking at the stars, and I had this sudden sense, oh, this is enough. This is enough. So sometimes when those big doubt attacks pass, there can be a sense when they go, if you pay attention, in their absence, there can be a sense of, oh, this, there can be something rise there. And so one of the ways to make these hindrances our home is just to be with them. How big are they? And just let them be in the body. And really, if you're restless, give it a wide pasture. How does it feel in the body? It's like a wild horse and needs a big corral, no corral at all, big pasture. So let your hindrances be big. That's a way of making the practice at home there, making them our home in the practice, and see what happens. See what happens. And so what I learned about that doubt is that it can pass. And also what I have from that doubt, and one of the reasons I love to tell the story, is that every time I tell the story, I remember some confidence. I remember that I have a way to deal with doubt. And so letting that confidence in is another way of working with the hindrances. Thinking back, when have I worked with a hindrance that gave me some confidence? And let that, what does that feel like in the body? So I'm going to just recap because I'm kind of mixed up myself. Know when the hindrances are not here. Name the hindrances. Make the hindrances the path. Make your home in the hindrances. So those are 3 ways of working with this. And then a 4th way is, as we make it our home, we can really get to know what that hindrance feels like. So really bring our mindfulness there. And one of the ways that Buddha did this was he had this wonderful similes, images for the various hindrances. And you can check these out next time they're here with you and see if they make sense. And these, when we feel into these similes, they're a way of helping us not be caught so much in the hindrance, but be a little bit able to see them with mindfulness. And so this is the fourth way of working with them, is to be able, can we see them with mindfulness a little bit? And so the images are all of the hindrances, how they are in a pool of water. And discontent, sensual desire, that is wanting something else, is like beautiful dyes swirling around in water. And you're so entranced by the dyes that you forget about the water. You're so entranced by the sensual pleasure. Oh yeah, that's so pretty. And so the water is, we can't see clearly in the water. The ill will, the comparison there is boiling water. So boiling hot water. Does that relate to you for ill will? It sure does for me. That hostility, and it can feel so hot. And then again, we cannot see clearly the water, the pond. The third one, sloth and torpor, is like algae growing across the top of the pond. Isn't that a great one for algae? Like sleepiness, dullness in the mind. The water is kind of choked by the algae. Restlessness and worry have similar energies. It's like a big wind on the water. Choppy water, maybe even whitecaps. And then doubt is like the water's all silty and you can't see to the bottom. And so these are qualities that stir the mind up, stir the heart up. And so see if any of these fit for you next time these things visit you. See if sensing their qualities like this can bring a little bit of perspective, a little bit of, oh yeah, this is what this is, can help you see it more clearly. So that's the last one I want to talk about, is that sometimes looking directly at the hindrances is not very helpful. And sometimes we want to direct our thoughts intentionally somewhere else. And I love this one, because directing our thoughts intentionally to a pleasant object is much different, and if we do it intentionally, is much different than our default turning away from the hindrances, our default turning away, like our getting busy. It's one of my favorite ones. Or just not stopping to turn and pay attention to them. And so there's a sutta that I've read here before called the Directed Thought Sutta, and the Buddha is talking about when the mind is restless or sluggish, so talking directly about the hindrances. And so the Buddha says, when a practitioner is meditating, sometimes mental sluggishness can arise, sometimes a scattered mind can arise, sometimes bodily distress can arise. And when this happens, the practitioner can direct their mind to another image, to a satisfactory image. When the mind is directed to some satisfactory image, happiness is born. From this happiness, joy is then born. With a joyful mind, the body relaxes. A relaxed body feels content, and the mind of one content becomes gathered. The practitioner can then reflect, oh, okay, the purpose that I directed my mind to that satisfactory object for has been accomplished. I feel a little bit more settled. And then can let go of the satisfactory image and just feel that settling in the body. And I love this because it's really big permission from the Buddha, really big permission to allow joy in as a way of calming and as a way of working with hindrances. It's not an inferior practice. It's a very important practice. And so these are practices that we can use with hindrances, knowing when they're not here, naming them, making them the path, getting curious about them and knowing their qualities, and then turning to the pleasant. So there's 5 ways of working with difficult states. And then I want to just offer 4 more that are directly related, or 5 more that are directly related to the specific hindrances themselves. And so with greed, with sensual pleasure, what we want to do is help the mind be content here rather than discontent. So this is another one where turning to the pleasant is really helpful. Because what we're doing is giving the mind a little bit of sweetness here in this moment. And then the mind doesn't want to run off so much. I have a poem about this. This is from this beautiful, beautiful book, Poetry of Presence, that Andrea brought to our canoe retreat and became our go-to book. This poem is called One's Ship Comes In by Joe Paddock. I swear my way now will be to continue without plan or hope, to accept the drift of things, to shift from endless effort to joy. In, say, that robin, plunging into the mossy shallows of my bird bath and splashing madly till the air shines with spray. Joy, it will be, say, in Nancy, pretty in pink and rumpled t-shirt, rubbing sleep from her eyes. Or joy even in just this breathing, free of fright and clutch, knowing how one's ship comes in with each such breath. And so grasping can be countered by helping the mind be content here by looking for the pleasant. Sloth and torpor, or ill will, is classically countered or supported to move to goodwill through metta and compassion. Sloth and torpor is an imbalance of energy, and so we want to raise the energy, open the eyes, stand up, get curious about what's happening. Restlessness and worry, what we want to do there is one of the classical ways is to gather the system. Pay attention to some small point, the body, the breath. Help the mind and system to gather. Although even with restlessness and worry, Analios encourages us to be connect to the joy of the present moment. He says, in the case of restlessness and worry, anything that calms the mind will be helpful. Useful here, again, is the attention to the joy of being in the present moment, in particular with emphasis on resting in whole body awareness. Relaxing into this joy can allow the body to become calm and tranquil. And then doubt, the last one, is to the classical kind of antidote for that is to reflect on confidence, on faith. What is it that you have confidence in? The way we did in our meditation today. And so one of the images that I have of this is the bird that I mentioned at the beginning of the talk. And the bird, we saw some beautiful birds at Anglin Lake, and a couple of crows that were flying overhead. We could see their wings, and at the very ends of their wings, all these individual feathers that one little movement in the feather adjusts the way they fly. And it has always struck me that the wind that we can feel, can be compared to the hindrances, like the wind that comes in. The very strong wind sometimes can be these strong weather systems, these strong hindrances that come in. But the birds, especially the big birds, they like the big winds because once they know how to work with them, they can soar on the big wind. And I feel like the hindrances are like that. Once we begin to understand a little bit about how to soar, work with them, we can allow even them, we can soar a little bit with them and let even the hindrances be a support for the practice. And I want to end with one last inspiration for me. I shared with you when I went to San Quentin and got to be with the prisoners there, the folks on death row who are practicing mindfulness, and how inspired I was by the depth of their practice. They're really working with deep, difficult energy. And I always think of them when I think of the hindrances, the way that their courage and perseverance and deep practice can inspire me and inspire all of us to find freedom in the midst of difficult circumstances, find freedom in the midst of difficult mind states. And the reason I was thinking about them today also is that there's a benefit for the program at San Quentin on Sunday. Maybe we'll post that on Facebook. Some of the folks who were in the program when I visited San Quentin have been released now. And they're going to be participating in this fundraiser. And I'm anticipating that it's going to be an inspiring kind of event. So, friends, we have these seasons of the mind and heart, these weather systems that come through the mind and the heart, and we can work with them and come to find freedom right in the midst. So let's just sit for a moment and then we'll dedicate the merit of our practice. Let's hold our beloved family, friends, and ancestors in our minds and our hearts. And together, in a way, this is another way that we can really be held in these transition times together in Sangha. So holding your beloved ancestors, friends, family in your heart, knowing that our relationship with these dear ones continues, knowing that our relationship with them evolves, and that we can dedicate the benefit, the merit of our practice to them and to their journey. And just sending all of the benefit of the merit of our practice to these dear ones, holding them kindly and carefully, blessing them, sending our love and thanks. And holding all of the dear ones from everyone in our circle here tonight. And holding all of the dear and beloved ones for all beings everywhere. May all beings everywhere and our beloved be held in safety, in awareness and kindness. May our practice here tonight be a cause and condition for gladness in the hearts of our beloved and all beings. May our practice here tonight be a cause and condition for the liberation of our beloved and all beings everywhere.